or so billion years old, and you squish that into one calendar year, Earth was created on January 1st, and we right now are about to, see in the new year. And the very first examples of life in the fossil record that we've found so far is from about March 20th, so about 3.5 billion years ago, and that's very basic single-cell bacteria. And then from there on, life moves pretty slowly, and the Burgess shale creatures don't even show up in the fossil record until about November 17th. So after a huge chunk of Earth's life has, history has been and gone. Now I say that Burgess shale are the first modern animal life because there is some life beforehand. As we were talking about earlier, Mistaken Point in Newfoundland, you can actually go and see some very old life from about 560, 580 million years ago. There's still some debate about it. But the Burgess shale is kind of the beginnings of modern animals, and 95% of the animals alive today can trace their ancestry back to the creatures from the Burgess shale. But to put them in perspective with the dinosaurs, they don't even show up until about December 23rd, 24th. They're here for just a few days, and then they disappear about the 27th of December. And modern humans don't show up in the fossil record until about 11:45 p.m. on December 31st. So our history is pretty short. But what's interesting about the Burgess shale, and one of the reasons that it's considered to be such an important site, is because it has really changed our understanding about how animal life has evolved. And one of the big things that's changed is that when Darwin was thinking about evolution and how things changed, he really thought that things evolved very slowly and increasingly became more complex and more diverse. So when you think about the animal tree, it starts off with one stem and branches slowly. But what we seem to see here during the Burgess shale is a rapid diversification of forms of life. And pretty much most of the major animal groups start out over 500 million years ago. And some people think that this is evidence of this idea of the Cambrian explosion, which is the big bang of animal life, while other people believe that maybe it's just the way that fossils are preserved in the rock. But for those that do believe in the Cambrian explosion, something certainly seems to have happened here. They think it might be this idea of what we call a punctuated equilibrium, where life kind of evolves in these big jumps forward. So here in the Burgess shale, there's lots of ideas about what might have caused it. We have increases in oxygen levels. We have the extinction of the life that was here before. But one of the things that I really like, because we can see it so clearly up at the Burgess shale, is this idea of an evolutionary arms race that started because of the evolution of eyesight. So when we get up to the site today, we're going to see trilobites. They're one of the most ancient creatures, and the very first with a complex compound eye. And you can imagine that, life in the ocean isn't so bad if nothing can see you, but suddenly something develops eyesight, and you've got to start changing your lifestyle strategy to survive, and maybe changing your body plan. And so up at the Burgess shale, hopefully we'll see some varied examples of creatures that maybe were living in the sediment, trying to either hide from predators or to hide and pounce upon other creatures. We see the development of different kind of movements, so swimmers, crawlers, maybe some wrigglers, I don't know. We see the development of hard shells to protect creatures from predators, and we see the development of things like armors and spines and things like that. So when we get up there, my challenge for you is to see how many different phyla you can find. And so phyla are those big major groups of animals. So I think that you can probably find 5 if you've got a good eye. And I'll be up there to help you see what you can find as well. But there are some beautiful weird wonders of the Burgess shale. Some are more common than others, and so for the rare ones I have some images up there to show you instead. But they have been inspirational to lots of different kind of people around the world. And has anyone here ever seen the original Star Wars film? Yeah? So that's number 3 for the younger generation. It's the bar scene in Tatooine with all those weird and wonderful aliens. We've got a good eye. You might be able to see on the left-hand side of that dark patch is like a little tripod. So that's where we're headed. That is the Walcott Quarry. So just above it, we can't quite see it, is the Raymond Quarry. And then that lighter section at the very top is the third quarry, the Collins Quarry. And all of the rock from those two quarries comes down every year with the avalanches to the bottom where we're going to be.
Is it that white tripod there?
Yeah, that white tripod. So we're just going to the right of that. Now, in a second, we're going to pass a big path that goes straight up.
Okay.
Again, don't take it personally. It's just for me. And remember, we are some of the very lucky few that get to come up to this site. So be as gentle as possible with the rock. Obviously, we're going to be walking over it. It will sustain some damage, but please don't smash the rocks. If anything opens in your hands, not a problem at all. But don't chuck it. And please don't scribble on the rocks or anything either. But while you're up here, the ID charts are here to help you try and work out what you're looking at. And with these fossils, it's definitely worth using the hand lens to have a closer look at some of the detail. If you haven't used a hand lens before, don't use it like a magnifying glass, and it does help, but hold the rock and the lens right up by your eye and you'll see some incredible detail. The trick though, while you're up here, is to try and work out what you're looking at. One of the big mysteries of the Burgess Shale is that trying to piece together the puzzle of what you're looking at. It's a little bit like trying to put together a giant jigsaw puzzle when you're not sure how many pieces you're supposed to have or what the picture at the end is supposed to look like. And I want to introduce you to a couple of fossils to give you an idea of how difficult it can be, even for the experts. And I have here a couple of different fossils. Can you guys see those at the back there? If you look at these two fossils, what do you think that either of them look like? And there's no wrong answers here, because that's what paleontologists are doing.
Caterpillars.
Starfish, mouth, worm, caterpillar, plant. This top one here, when it was first described, was actually well before Walcott even came up to either of the sites, and was actually described as a shrimp. And it was named Anomalocaris because no matter how many of these specimens they found, they could never find one with the head. So Anomalocaris means unusual looking shrimp. And it remained as such for decades. And then Walcott came up here and he found this circular one that I think someone said looked like a bit like a starfish. He actually thought it looked like a jellyfish, and so he named this guy Patoya. And both of these specimens remained as two completely different animals for decades. And it wasn't until somebody finally, years later, there you go, finally realised that these two pieces were actually part of the very same creature. And I have here a picture of Anomalocaris. The fossil's actually from its back, so it's a little hard to make out, but it turns out that those shrimp-like things are its feeding appendages, and that jellyfish was in fact, as you said, the mouth. So if you have a look again, you can see the rows of teeth inside. And this was one of the earliest predators. This is one of our biggest fossils up here. They think that it might have been able to get to as big as a metre in size, although they haven't been able to find a complete one that big. But based on the size of these two individual fossils, you can start to kind of guesstimate its size. And some of you might actually see some while we're up here today. But it gives you an idea that it's definitely a challenge to work out what you're looking at. So I'll bring out some pictures of some of the fossils to help you work out what you're looking at in some books. And I'm also going to pull out some samples that people have found over the years up here. But this is your hour or so to get up there, see what you can find, and who knows, maybe you'll be the first person to see a brand new fossil.
Like climate. Because climate's like doing tidal height, but 500 million years ago.
Yeah, I'll make a picture of the wall.
Did his main excavations kind of at the layer just above the box here? Okay, I'll put the camera here and cover it. That's kind of 2 minute sections. The good wall copy doing the ginger layer, and he didn't think that there was anything at all below that layer, so he stopped quarrying. And he wanted to do
What is this?
I have no clue.
Which one we're looking?
Here.
Oh, this one. Oh yeah, I see now.
Oh, there's stuff in here.
Yeah, I found that one, yeah.
That's cool rock.
How's this? How's he doing, yeah?
Huh? It's like a lobster looking type.
What is it?
See?
Yeah, it's one or the other. I think that because I can't see the cartridge, I think it's the anus of the same thing.